you've got countries out there that are developing technology to track the people making transactions in cryptocurrencies. Now, why in the world would they want to do that? Well, the excuse they use is to make sure that people aren't using their funds illegally, like sending it to terrorists and other things like that. The part of the challenge, though, is that the establishment, remember the establishment, the fiat currency folks, and the Federal Reserve folks, and the people who want to keep control of the monetary system, those folks don't want a confidential, can't be tracked system, because the first thing they'll tell you is it can be used for nefarious illegal purposes. And while that's true, they haven't stopped the internet, and it's being used for a lot of illegal purposes. There's a lot of technologies out there that just because they can be used badly doesn't mean that we forego the good that they accomplish. But what they've tried to do ever since Bitcoin came out is tried to crack the surface of being able to get into the blockchain network, whatever it is, whether it's Bitcoin, Ethereum, Zcash, whatever coin it is. And they've tried to track the movement of those coins from wallet to wallet. And then, of course, because the wallets are anonymous, they've then tried to identify who the wallets are. Well, that's who the wallets belong to. Well, that's the Holy Grail. Literally, the anonymity of a user to spend money where they want to, when they want to, and how they want to depends on an oversight type agency, Big Brother call it, not knowing who that wallet belongs to. So if I have a wallet on the Bitcoin network where I keep my Bitcoin and I go buy things and sell things and, transact, the fact that a judge wants to give a warrant to go to a company to divulge who owns that wallet is not exactly appealing to me. So use that as a backdrop to this article. So they're deploying a cryptocurrency tracking system at the beginning of 2023. What they want to do literally is it'll be used to monitor transaction history, extract information related to transactions, and check the source of funds before and after remittance, according to local outlet KH Games. So the whole idea is they want to track who it's being paid to, where it's coming from, and where the source of funds came from that were put into that wallet so that it could be spent. Okay? Now that's a lot similar, to what they call the know your customer laws that exist for banks. If you didn't know it, when you go to a bank and you take more than $10,000 worth of cash and say, I'd like to deposit this cash into my bank account, the teller will then pull out a form and you have to tell where you got that cash. Now, the reason is because they don't want a drug dealer down the road, hauling his cash into the bank, because all their trading is done by cash, hauling all their cash into the bank and having a legal place to spend it. So that's why they have places called illegal acts called money laundering, because they can't take it to a bank. So therefore they funnel it through a business, and they have the legitimate business then deposit it in the bank. So you just get a business going, and it doesn't have to turn a profit because all of your illicit profits go to the bank, and as long as your business doesn't make too much money, it won't look at all suspicious. So we have a couple questions. So if the US implements this, it'll be solely for tax purposes. Yes, I believe that. Sure. I don't want the government knowing how or when I'm using my money. That's absolutely true. So here's the whole conundrum. The fiat currency folks, the people who want to control the monetary system both at the international level and at the country level, want to know when, how, and where you're spending your money. Frankly, that's what scares me about the central bank digital currencies that are being talked about throughout the world and in some smaller countries already implemented. So we'll see how that goes. So here's a situation where you're watching the technology unfold, but you're watching the nefarious acts of government actors trying to make sure that it doesn't do what it was initially intended to do, which was to create privacy. And so we've got a bank. As a bank teller, I've had to fill out CTRs, cash transaction forms, when people deposit or withdraw over $5,000. They've lowered it to $5,000 now. Okay, that's interesting. That might be just a bank policy, but at the federal level, they want you to know for every the Know Your Customer law applies to 10,000 and above. Yeah.
I want to make one comment for anybody who's followed Bitcoin since the early days, back when the Silk Road happened, which for those who don't know was basically, it was a website on the dark web where they would use primarily Bitcoin to buy and sell things you couldn't buy openly, especially drugs. And that's been used ever since then to push these same sorts of regulations with the idea that we have to know what people are buying and selling with crypto, because if it was legal, they'd be doing it with dollars. The only reason to use Bitcoin is to do illegal stuff. Well, the hard part of that is if I hand you a dollar bill, you'll never find it again. Nobody has any idea. But Bitcoin itself, you get a warrant, you find out who owns that wallet, and it's all on the blockchain. The point of the blockchain is to keep a perfect record that cannot be changed. Using Bitcoin to transact illegal things is kind of a dumb idea. Yeah, that's the point.
Yeah, because actually the Silk Road case is a good one, because the whole reason they were able to bring it down was because it was on the blockchain. So yeah, they were able to trace all those once they found who owned the wallets, which was, like they said, the Holy Grail. So we've got several different banks with different policies. It looks like Justin says his bank does it at 7,000. Fills out that CTR form. It says, I've had to do it a few times due to customers paying cash for remodeling work. Yeah, the tax man takes too big a bite, and there's a lot of folks out there that, construction costs a huge piece of money, especially labor, and yeah, I've seen several situations where they've said, well, you pay me cash, I'll give you a discount, and you know why, but a lot of times you pay the cash because they're giving you a discount.